Azerbaijan has accused India of blocking its bid to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Its president reportedly told the Pakistani leader on the sidelines of the Tianjin SCO Summit that New Delhi is seeking revenge, quote-unquote, against Baku. And he went further, congratulating Islamabad on what he called its victory over India and pledged continued support for Pakistan. So far, India has not officially reacted to these allegations, but given Azerbaijan's recent conduct, such a move by New Delhi would hardly come as a surprise. In fact, reports suggest Russia too may have quietly approved of keeping Baku out, frustrated as Moscow and Tehran both are with Azerbaijan in recent years. The SCO Summit this year was dominated by Prime Minister Modi's meeting with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, but Baku's complaint is now forcing attention onto a different geopolitical subplot. One that exposes just how Azerbaijan's tilt towards Pakistan has complicated its relationship with India. And to understand this, we need to revisit history. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, most of its successor states inherited cordial ties with India, but Azerbaijan was an exception. Diplomatic ties were established in 1992, and India opened its mission in Baku in 1999. But Azerbaijan waited till 2004 to reciprocate in New Delhi. Even today, the ties remain thin, with no high-level visits in over 2 decades. Azerbaijan has deepened its ties with Pakistan, aided by Turkey. Defense deals became central, and Pakistan trained Azeri military personnel. A $1.6 billion contract will also see Islamabad supply 8 JF-17C Block 3 fighter jets to Azerbaijan, and Pakistan's largest export order. Both countries hold joint drills with Turkey, and during the 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war, Armenia accused Pakistan of sending fighters to support Baku, though those claims remain unverified. Now, coming back to India, here's where India drew the line. It happened when Azerbaijan began publicly echoing Pakistan's lies on Kashmir. Joint declarations regularly contained clauses voicing support for Islamabad. Kashmir Day was also observed in Baku. And then after the Pahalgam terror attack this year, while the entire world came to India's support, condemning the Pakistan-sponsored terror, Azerbaijan condemned India's response, Operation Sindoor. Baku wrote directly to Pakistan's president expressing solidarity. Azerbaijan's media has also since carried hostile rhetoric against India and against India's growing defense ties with Armenia. What has been India's approach? Restraint. Despite its close partnership with Armenia, New Delhi has never proclaimed support for Armenia's claim over Nagorno-Karabakh, preferring neutrality. Nor has India ever condemned Azerbaijan for purchasing arms from Pakistan. And this is despite the obvious risks of financing what New Delhi knows is Islamabad's terror industry. And as reports show, Azerbaijan's anti-India rhetoric damages ties despite benefiting more from relations. From 2005, bilateral trade grew from $50 million to $958 million in 2024. And that trade is tilted in Baku's favor. India exports $224 million and imports $734 million. Just last year, in fact, over 2 lakh Indian tourists made up 10% of Azerbaijan's arrivals. And Bollywood and regional films also add major revenue for Azerbaijan's economy. Last year, India's Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, ONGC Videsh, signed a $60 million deal to raise its stake in Azeri oil fields in the Caspian Sea and the linked pipeline. Yet at Tianjin, the Azeri president doubled down, congratulating Pakistan on the military confrontation with India and promising to quote-unquote prioritize ties with Islamabad. It is against this backdrop that his complaint about SCO membership must be seen. If India did indeed block Azerbaijan's entry, which there is no way to confirm at this point, It would only be natural in a way. SCO decisions are taken by consensus, and no member would allow hostile actors into the bloc. Also, in the joint declaration at the SCO Summit this week, India was able to secure the backing of all the members, which includes Pakistan's all-weather ally China, in condemning the Pahalgam terror attack. And the real question then is whether Baku is ready to do some soul-searching. It reflects to see friendship with Pakistan as a license for hostility towards India has only made its diplomacy narrow-minded, not stronger. And until that mindset changes, Azerbaijan may find that antagonism towards India carries a price that it can ill afford to pay. A big tax cut ahead of the festival season here in India, and what you get is a big shot in the arm for growth. The Modi government has done just that. Slashed goods and services tax rates on nearly 400 items, from daily essentials to small cars. The government has decided to lower the GST with an aim to fire up festive spending and shield India's economy from the global headwinds. Here's what we are looking at basically. Taxes on most items of everyday use and premiums on insurance policies and vehicles have been cut. The structure is also simpler now. There are only two rate slabs, basically 5% and 18%. Goods and services tax, or GST, was launched 8 years ago, remember, with the aim of simplifying taxes and reducing the compliance burden. But it was criticized for numerous tax categories, and to simplify this, the GST panel approved the two-rate structure of 5% and 18%. Instead of the four rates. The government panel has approved cuts in consumer items like toothpaste and shampoo to 5%, and on small cars, air conditioners and televisions to 18%. GST was also removed from all individual life insurance policies and health insurance. Now, this is India's biggest tax overhaul since GST was rolled out in 2017. On the other side, sin goods like cigarettes, chewing tobacco and luxury cars, their taxation rate now goes up to as high as 40%. Now, the rate cuts will be implemented from September 22nd, that is the first day of the Hindu festival of Navratri. And during the briefing on September 3rd, the Indian Finance Minister said that the reforms are meant for the common man, lower taxes, fewer slabs, simpler compliance. The GST reductions are expected to boost consumption as the Indian economy grew at an unexpectedly higher pace of 7.8% in the quarter to June. Now, this is how the experts have reacted. Citigroup estimating the cuts could lower inflation by over 1 percentage point. That means cheaper goods and more money in the common man's pocket. Economists say this could add as much as 0.6% to India's GDP in the next year, and that's a major boost, especially at a time when consumption already makes up 60% of the economy. And with the consumption rate cut, the Indian government is betting big on domestic demand. Just to put this simply, what India does not sell abroad, it wants Indians to buy at home. And markets are already reacting. Automakers and consumer firms rallied, bond yields dipped, which means that investors are not too worried about the fiscal math. Still, the numbers are serious. The GST rate cuts mean a revenue loss of nearly 48,000 crore rupees for the government. But officials say it is sustainable, and economists agree the consumption push will more than offset the shortfall. SBI's chief economist calling it, quote unquote, almost insignificant or even positive, quote unquote, for the fiscal deficit. In the end, this is more than just a tax tweak. It's a statement of intent by the Modi government. India will power growth from within, no matter the global headwinds. And as the festival season kicks in, all eyes now on whether lower prices translate into higher spending, and whether Prime Minister Modi's big bet on GST reforms delivers the growth dividend that India needs. An 80-year-old Japanese woman lost around 1 million yen or close to $6,700 to an online scammer posing as her love interest, one who also had a rather unique story to spin around it. Through online chats, the fraudster reportedly managed to convince the old lady that he was in fact an astronaut in distress, stranded in space, and in need of funds to buy oxygen. According to the police, the man whom she met on social media in July capitalized on the vulnerability of the woman and her circumstances, reportedly fostered a romantic connection with her, only to swindle thousands of dollars. Police describing this as a romance scam, which is increasingly targeting the country's old and lonely. In fact, it has issued an advisory asking people to report anyone from social media demanding cash or any form of payment. As per the World Bank, Japan is home to the world's second oldest population after Monaco, and they are soft targets for a wide range of scams, starting from insurance, loan or pension frauds, or to people even posing as fake relatives. And Japan is not alone. In recent times, romance scams have emerged as a growing global menace. According to the National Police Agency of Japan, over 3,000 romance scams were reported in the first 11 months of 2024, more than double the number in 2023. In the UK, 1 in 10 adults, or nearly 6 million people, have been reportedly targeted or know someone who has been targeted by a romance scam. In the US, over 64,000 Americans lost a combined amount of over $1 billion in romance scams in 2023. Over $1 billion. Another report from Barclays suggesting that men are in fact more susceptible when it comes to the matters of the heart, shelling out a lion's share for scammers who play on emotions. A word of caution for those under duress. Brace your heart and protect your money, and reach out for help if required when in doubt. China and the United States are locked in a tech war that seems to be intensifying with each passing day. In the latest, China has ramped up its AI agent challenge to American players with its latest entrant, Tencent. According to a report by the South China Morning Post, China has advanced its AI agentic tools such as Tencent and ByteDance to take on US firms like Autogen and OpenAI. Tencent's AI department was released on Microsoft open source platform GitHub just last week. The move was soon followed by ByteDance, the owner of TikTok. What exactly are these tools really? They are basically frameworks required to make autonomous, intelligence-driven softwares used to deploy and manage AI agents that help the users achieve the desired goals in the digital space. And this marks a defining moment in China's strides in the field of AI and its push for self-sufficiency in the face of US dominance. One which could very well set the tone for what's going to be the future of the internet in a way. In recent times, the China-US tech rivalry is no longer limited to the question of superiority, but that of governance, with both wanting the largest pie. Not just that, while America's export restrictions on advanced semiconductors aimed at curbing China's AI growth and development, China saw this as an opportunity to bounce back stronger. And the results are evident. As China seeks to foolproof its AI pitch with domestic innovation at its heart while carrying strong appeal to countries in the global south as well, experts suggest in the coming days, China's AI strategies, with special emphasis on open access and shared benefits, are only expected to include more stakeholders and emerge as an attractive alternative to US models. Shifting focus, earlier we've been telling you about a serious problem plaguing the UK, the rising obesity among children. And aiming to tackle that, the UK government has come up with a solution in a way, cutting down sugar and caffeine levels from where the youth seems to be getting the most. Basically, the government is seeking to ban the sale of popular energy drinks for those under 16 in England. And as per the European Food Safety Authority, some names that fall under such a category include some of the drinks that are highly caffeinated and provide consumers with strong sugar rush, reportedly. Now, most of these branded drinks are easily available in shops, restaurants, cafes, vending machines, even online, and are quite handy among teenagers especially. So instead of a blanket ban, what the UK government is proposing is to limit the caffeine intake to just 150 milligram per litre of the drink, sold to anyone under the age of 16. Across all retail outlets. In the UK, up to a third of teenagers are thought to consume energy drinks frequently, sometimes several times in a week. And the move by the government could prevent obesity in up to 40,000 children, reportedly. Not just that, when it comes to health issues among teenagers, anxiety, depression, sleep disorders featuring as common issues. What about tea and coffee then, which too contain considerable amount of caffeine, or soft drinks for that matter? Experts estimate consuming one energy drink equals having 2 cups of coffee or more, and can lead to headaches, irritability, poor concentration, which could eventually lead to lack of focus in studies and a poor academic performance. And the UK minister suggests banning energy drinks could help improve behavior, learning and efficiency. However, enforcing a ban on energy drinks is easier said than done, as it not only affects schoolgoers or those with access to proper education, but also those from deprived communities. Back in 2018, major supermarkets across Britain voluntarily stopped selling energy drinks to those under 16. However, this did not prevent smaller shops from continuing to sell them to children. And this is just half the problem in a way. What about processed, packaged, canned or junk food packed with saturated fat, protein, carbohydrates, which further feeds into the country's obesity crisis? Tackling one aspect of it without addressing the rest will also lead to questions. Apart from dietary habits, socio-economic aspects, cost of living issues and leading sedentary lifestyles with a lack of physical exercise must also be factored in to nip the obesity problem in the bud. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.